All right. Good evening, y'all.
Good evening. Good evening.
Thank you for coming out tonight on this class. So for the past couple of weeks, Wednesday nights have been going over apologetics and the reason why apologetics is so important, especially in today's world and time. And we're going to start going over the different world religions. Last week, Pastor went over atheism last week. So tonight we're going to start off over in the Orient with Buddhism. When you hear the term Buddhism, what's the first thing you think about?
Little fat guy.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Well, Buddhism, of course, the people who follow the religion of Buddhism are called Buddhists. Okay, that makes sense, right? Okay. Did you know that Buddhism is the fourth largest world religion with approximately 360 million followers?
Wow.
If you look on this map of the world, broken down into the religions, you'll see Buddhism with this symbol right here. It's called a Dharma wheel, if you wanted to know that. It's brown. The countries that are brown are where Buddhism is practiced primarily. Of course, Japan, Mongolia, Vietnam, Burma, Thailand, Sri Lanka, etc., and parts of China. China is officially non-religious. They have so many religions: Confucianism, Buddhism, Christianity. So they didn't classify China as one way or the other. Buddhism, it actually originated in India approximately 2,500 years ago.
Wow.
Okay? When they say the word or the country of India, what religion do you think of in India? Hindu. Buddhism is actually, well, I don't want to say the word offshoot of Hindu, but it does have a lot of similarities. We're not going to get into Hinduism tonight. That's a totally different ballgame. But we're just going to concentrate on Buddhism tonight. As I said, based on many of the core concepts of Hinduism, the essence of Buddhism is the attainment of enlightenment. Okay? It points to a way of life that avoids self-indulgence and self-denial. In Buddhism, there is no supreme God or deity. The Buddhism beliefs, their key beliefs. The Buddha is the founder of Buddhism. We'll get into who the Buddha is. The Dharma is the Buddhist word for the teaching of the Buddha. The person is any living being is seen as comprising 5 constituent parts: body, ideas, emotions, thoughts, and awareness. The individual is a constantly changing set of physical and mental forces or energies. Life is seen as a stream of such energies. Buddhism believes in reincarnation and rebirth. Rebirth, because Buddhists do not believe in the soul, there is no belief, there is belief in reincarnation. Instead, Buddhists believe that after death, there is a rebirth, or rebecoming of the stream of constantly changing energy. And therefore, some aspects of previous lives may remain. And that's possibly, in their belief, to explain child prodigies. Like a child, refer to child prodigies being able to play the piano very well, high intellect at such an early age. According to Buddhists, that's possibly because of their rebirth, they retain knowledge from their previous lives.
Oh,
The three marks of existence in Buddhism are also called the three signs or states of being, or anicca, dukkha, and anatta. Another phrase I'm pretty sure you're familiar with is karma. Karma is real big in Buddhism. Karma is basically the law of cause and effect. If you do something bad to somebody, it's going to come back around and do bad on you. Okay? And of course, the ultimate goal for a Buddhist is to achieve nibbana or nirvana. Nirvana is a state of perfect peace realized upon enlightenment. It is a new existence outside the cycle of rebirth, which is possible for individuals to attain through extinguishing desire. I know that was a lot right there, and that one was short. Okay, go back to a little history of Buddhism. The Buddha, his born name was Siddhartha Gautama. He was actually a prince in India. Until one day he decided he left the family compound, and when he went outside the family compound, he saw for the first time what the real world was like, because he's been in this compound all his life, being treated like royalty, being waited on hand and foot. He stepped outside the compound, he found an old man, a diseased man, a corpse. He learned that these are realities of life. The Buddha, he began to meditate and study. He came to an abrupt realization that in human life, good is always mixed with bad. The problem is that human beings naturally want to embrace the comfortable or desirable parts of life and ignore everything else. The Buddha also began to teach others how to escape suffering. He took the name Buddha, or enlightened one. As I said previously, Buddhism, some of the beliefs, they're based on beliefs of Hinduism. They have accepted ideas of karma, dharma, and reincarnation. It rejects the ideas of social hierarchy and a supreme God. It has overarching belief in morality, equality, reciprocity, mental development, and wisdom. They believe that everything lives in harmony with the events in the course of life. They believe living the middle way, or the middle path. Think about joy and sorrow, life and death. Don't go to the extreme. Take the middle path. Don't be too good, don't be too bad, stay in the middle. Human problems stem from unnecessary mental attachments. Like your ego, you attach yourself to other people, material objects. And other Buddhist beliefs, man's task on earth is to seek enlightenment and increase his store of merit. This is done by following the Eightfold Path. We'll get into that. Of course, there are 5 additional rules other than the Eightfold Path are: kill no living thing. Do not steal. Do not commit adultery. Tell no lies. Do not drink intoxicants or take drugs. And of course, if you decide you want to become a Buddhist monk, you have 5 other things you must do. You only eat moderately and only at a portion of appointed time. You avoid that which excites the senses. You do not wear jewelry or perfume. You do not sleep in luxurious beds, and you accept no silver or gold. Pretty harsh, pretty strict. This is a rendition of Siddhartha Gautama, or Buddha. That pose is usually the traditional pose you see. Any statue of him, he's sitting like that most of the time. The views of a Buddha or Buddhist. Buddhists do not believe that this world is created and ruled by God. Buddha did not want his followers speculating about such matters as God, the nature of the universe, and the afterlife. Instead, Buddha urged his followers to focus instead on the four noble truths by which they can free themselves from suffering. Before we go any further, who here can think of a very world prominent Buddhist right off the top of your head? Should be one name that comes to, well, what's everybody's mind?
Gandhi. No.
No. Who's ever heard of the Dalai Lama?
The Dalai Lama.
Okay. Did you know that the Dalai Lama that's living today is actually the 14th Dalai Lama?
14th.
14th Dalai Lama.
Okay.
The present day Dalai Lama was born in 1935. He's like 80-some years old now, maybe 90 now. And of course, his time is getting ready to come where his replacement is to be chosen. And he'll be the 15th Dalai Lama. Yes.
Is this, do they believe they're all reincarnated from the old one?
Yep.
So it's the same dude
So
coming
they
back?
will, like, this 14th Dalai Lama, he was chosen as a child to be the next Dalai Lama. When the 14th, the present Dalai Lama dies, they've already chosen a successor as a child somewhere. Only the head hierarchy in Buddhism knows who the child is.
So nobody else gets a chance because the same dude keeps coming back over and over and over again?
Nope. Like I said, very weird stuff. Also, in case you don't know the story of Dalai Lama, Dalai Lama is Buddhism. Also, like Christianity has offshoots. Buddhism has the Tibetan Buddhism. The Buddhism is different in Japan and Indonesia, Sri Lanka. They have different offshoots. There's actually 18 different factions of Buddhism.
Wow.
So, and just before we go any further, just to throw out a few names of famous people, celebrities that you probably know when you hear them that are Buddhists at this time. Jackie Chan. Everybody knows who Jackie Chan is. One I didn't know, Rosa Parks.
Interesting.
Our civil rights activist in the 60s. Yes, she converted to Buddhism in her later years. Various actors and actresses, Angelina Jolie, Jennifer Lopez, Goldie Hawn, Jeff Bridges, Richard Gere, Tina Turner, singer, she's a Buddhist. Tiger Woods, he's Buddhist. The deceased CEO of Apple, Steve Jobs, he was a Buddhist. The creator and CEO of Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg, is a Buddhist.
Wow.
That's just a few random, well-known celebrity Buddhists. So, all right, the Four Noble Truths of Buddhism. The first noble truth, the truth about suffering, is that it exists. Life is suffering. Birth, aging, and dying is suffering. Number two, by reaching into the world of dreams, our desire to fulfill what cannot be fulfilled is what brings us our suffering. Number three, only by reaching a state of not wanting can we end our suffering. And noble truth number four, the Eightfold Path, the middle path, can help us to break our habits of suffering. Notice the key word in all those, suffering. fly through these right quick before we're through. Suffering exists. Suffering arises from attachments to desires. I don't know why they chose dessert, but okay. Suffering ceases when attachment to desire ceases. In other words, if you stop desiring anything, your suffering is going to stop.
Mm-hmm.
And freedom from suffering is possible by practicing the Eightfold Path. I'm assuming that's like a footprint of the Buddha. I really have no idea. All right, the Eightfold Path. There are 8 paths you can take. You have to, all of them begin with right. You have to have the right thought, right intent, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. And beside it, it just explains what each one means. The Eightfold Path, the morality section, is the right speech, speaking in a non-hurtful, not exaggerated, truthful way. Avoid lies and gossip. We can get on board with that one, right? Morality, again, the right action, avoiding harmful actions. Don't steal from or harm others. Okay? The morality, right livelihood, not harming in any way oneself or others, directly or indirectly. And reject work that hurts others. That one right there, to reject work that hurts others. Practicing Buddhists cannot work in places that sell alcohol. Yes, sir.
Well, why are they in so much wars and fight each other so much? I mean, if they believe that, why do they kill each other so much?
That's going to get to the part we'll get to about
Okay.
Buddhism and Christianity do not mix.
Oh.
Okay. All right, Eightfold Path and meditation part, the right effort, making constant effort to improve oneself, prevent evil and do good. Meditation, right mindfulness, mental ability to see things for what they are with a clear conscience. Control your feelings and thoughts. Right contemplation, being aware of the present reality within oneself, without any craving or aversion. And practice meditation. They are real big on meditating. Wisdom, have the right view. Understanding of reality as it is, not just as it appears to be. And inclined toward goodness and kindness. And the last of the 8 paths, right thought. Changing the pattern of thinking. Believe in the nature of existence as suffering and in the Four Noble Truths. There again, it is called the Dharma wheel. Those are your 8 paths of Buddhism. Buddhist view. Remember I told you before, there are different offshoots of Buddhism. However, disbelief in a creator God does not mean that Buddhism is atheistic. While Theravada Buddhists are atheistic, Mahayana Buddhists are more polytheistic. What does that mean? Well, Mahayana Buddhism, the universe is populated with celestial Buddhas, bodhisattvas, and deities that assist and inspire Buddhists. This really starts going off the rails pretty quick. With regard to the universe, Buddha taught nothing is permanent. The Buddha said of death, life is a journey. Death is a return to earth. The universe is like an end. The passing years are like dust. Regard this phantom world as a star at dawn, a bubble in the stream, a flash of lightning in a summer cloud, a flickering lamp, a phantom, and a dream. life's purpose in Buddhism is the purpose of life is to end suffering. Remember, from the moment you're born, you're suffering your entire life. The Buddha taught that humans suffer because we continually strive after things that do not give lasting happiness. During life, humans should also strive to gain enlightenment and release from the cycle of rebirth, or at least attain a better rebirth by gaining merit. Sounds kind of like they're trying to gain up treasures so they can take it with them to their next life.
Mm-hmm.
In the afterlife, Buddhists believe people are reincarnated when they die. The Buddhist rendition of reincarnation is different to Hinduism because Buddhists do not believe the soul passes on to the next body. Okay? In Hinduism, we'll talk about later, the soul just goes from one place, from one body to another body. Whereas Buddhism is a little different. Buddha compared reincarnation to lighting successive candles using the flame of the preceding candle. Although each flame is casually connected to the one that came before it, it is not the same flame. Like you have a flame in one candle, you light the other candle, you tear them apart, you got two different flames. So that flame is no longer part of this flame. Okay? Thus, in Buddhism, reincarnation is usually referred to as transmigration. Usually when you get any word that involves trans in it, you got problems. And general practices in Buddhism, of course, meditation is a biggie. Anytime you see them in movies or whatever, they're either meditating, they're chanting mantras. Devotion to deities in some of the 18 different parts of Buddhism. Mandalas are specifically Tibetan Buddhists. Mandalas are, a lot of them are sand sculptures, kind of. It takes a long time. They will draw beautiful works of art by grains of sand, one at a time. It takes a long time. And then when they do it, they'll wipe it clean. It's like, so, do we really understand Buddhism at all? We know that the main goal for Buddhism is enlightenment. You want to reach nirvana, which is the release from pain and suffering. In Buddhism cycle, you constantly get reborn, but the ultimate goal is to stop getting reborn. When you get to nirvana, you stop being reborn. Okay. That's why you want to break the cycle of pain by reaching nirvana. And Buddhist monks spend their lives meditating to attain enlightenment. The teachings of the Buddha: control your thoughts, resist evil, free your mind of evil, work for the good of others, respect life, know the truth, say nothing to hurt others, and practice meditation. They all sound pretty good individually. So, yes, sir, you got a question?
Yeah, how many Dalai Lamas has it been?
Well, the Tibetan Dalai Lamas were on the 14th one.
None of them ever reached Nirvana?
Yeah, maybe not. And there you go. He just busted open one of my own. Thank you so much.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. Buddhism teaches that everything in human existence is painful. Birth, death, and even living. If all the tears mankind has shed were collected, they would be more than the waters of the ocean. This is a story in Buddhism. Once upon a time, a woman was very mournful over the death of her newborn son. She went to a monk who told her that he could bring her son back to life if she could bring back one mustard seed from a family that had experienced no pain. She searched, but she never returned to the monk. She stopped grieving, for as she learned while she was doing this, pain and suffering are common to all. Now we know in the Bible there's an entire book about suffering. The book of Job. The book of Job in the Bible shows that life indeed can have suffering even for pious people. However, suffering for a worthwhile purpose is still very worthwhile, as in Hebrews 12:2. Fixing our eyes on Jesus, the author and perfecter of our faith, who for the joy set before him endured the cross, despising the shame, and has sat down at the right hand of the throne of God.
Yeah.
Life has a lot of suffering, but we have available a joy so great as to make the suffering worthwhile. Romans 8:18 proclaims, "For I consider that the sufferings of the present time are not worthy to be compared with the glory that is to be revealed to us." Another story trying to compare Buddhism and Christian. A son in Thailand disappeared, presumably to join a drug gang. The distraught mother went to a Christian missionary and a Buddhist monk and asked both what to do. The Buddhist monk, with their beliefs, said to have peace and accept that her son was gone. Just take it, accept it, he's gone. The Christian missionary said not to give up, but to pray for her son and that he would come back. Just that one little story there by itself shows the differences in beliefs, or the differences in the two religions. Also, we're starting to show how Buddhism is not anywhere close to Christianity. Centuries after Buddha died, legends sprang up of 12 animals who came to visit the baby Buddha. The Oriental zodiac is made up of these animals. And you know these animals when you go to a Chinese restaurant. They're always on the menus. Many Buddhists celebrate Buddha's birthday. In China and Japan, the Ulambana festival is a time of offerings to the spirits of the dead and hungry ghosts. During this celebration, the gates of the other world are open so that departed spirits can briefly return to earth. Now, that's an oxymoron or a complete contraindication of the Buddhist belief, right there. Where are these spirits of the dead and hungry ghosts coming from?
Yeah.
See what I'm saying? They say one thing and do something else. Just some comparisons between Buddhism and Christians. Buddhism is a method of attaining enlightenment. Christian is a relationship with a personal God. The existence of God is not relevant to life or spirituality, according to a Buddhist. The existence of an omnipotent, omniscient, and personal God is essential and central to Christianity. Buddhism is all about enlightenment. Enlightenment by systematic, persistent effort. I mean, you got to keep trying to obtain enlightenment. Christianity, salvation by faith, empowered by the grace of God, and is apart from your works. In Buddhism, many paths to eliminate the self. In Christianity, there's only one way to God. Buddhism is a mind trip. Christianity is a trip of the heart and spirit. In Buddhism, primary activities are meditation, mentoring, and the promotion of world peace. But you're going to get on board the world peace part. Primary activities in Christianity are worship, hearing sermons, prayer, both group and individual, fellowship, Bible study, and acts of service and charity. In Buddhism, any appearance of reality having two opposite natures is temporary. Ultimate reality is not dualistic, having only one aspect. In Christianity, you have many forms of substantive ultimate dualism, like good versus evil, creation, creator, virtue, sin, heaven or hell. In Buddhism, the truth lies within. In other words, truth lies within you. Christianity, Jesus is the truth.
Amen.
Buddhism, man does not have a soul. Christianity, man has an eternal soul of great value to a personal God.
Mm-hmm.
Buddhism, reincarnation, many lives on earth. Christianity, resurrection, only one life on earth. Buddhism, people are the product of the good or bad karma from their past lives. Christianity, each person is created by God for a unique purpose and direction. Buddhism, the highest goal is to eliminate suffering. Christianity, the highest goal is to develop intimacy with God and to give glory to God. And y'all can read most of those on your own. The supreme priorities are achieving one's own enlightenment and encouraging others to do the same. In Buddhism, Christianity, Christians feel the need to try to change the belief of those who differ with them because of the Great Commission of Jesus. I kind of have on that statement, the way they have it worded, I kind of really don't like that. But yes, he commanded us to go out and spread the word. So it is a commandment to go out and spread the word. Just a few more. The universe has always existed. There is no creator. That's Buddhism. In Christianity, God as creator is quite distinct and superior to his creation. Yes, he is. Skip down. Buddhism, all sentient beings or creatures that have awareness must be treated with compassion and respect. Christianity, human beings were given authority over the animals by God. Buddhists, they will. Everybody remember seeing that movie, The Karate Kid Part 3, I think, with the girl that went over to the Okinawa? Anyway, and she was spending time in their dojo or their castle where they were at, the monastery. And she accidentally stepped on a bug, and they just totally ignored her. They were mad at her for killing a creature. So in conclusion, Buddhism can be thought of as an 18-fold path of different philosophies. Remember I told you there's 18 different branches of Buddhism, and there's an 18-fold path. Kind of sums it up, if one is wandering around on an island, it is not too important which path is chosen. However, if someone wants to leave the island, that must be done by the bridge. Unlike Christianity, all the paths of Buddhism deny Jesus Christ, the one and only bridge of God. They refuse to abandon their own effort to reach for enlightenment and surrender to follow God's path. Salvation is not a philosophy or code of conduct, not even a Christian philosophy or code of conduct. We can only accept God's salvation by trusting and obeying Jesus. For as Jesus said in John 14, verse 6, I am the way and the truth and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. So, I hope this little presentation I kind of find it interesting, because Buddhism is actually pretty cool as far as like the meditating, the chanting, the respect for all creatures. I can get on board with some of those, but they start contradicting themselves. Yeah, that's where it doesn't jive. Also, they believe there is no God, no deity. Creation has always been. It wasn't created. So that's a lot of the differences between the two religions. So any questions on Buddhism or how it relates to or compares to Christianity? Anything else?
I mean, I have thousands, but I don't know that you can answer any of them. But you know, I need a monk up here so I can ask them some questions. But I mean, just so if creation has always been, and creation is eternal, then creation is God. Because I mean, the quality of being God is eternal, right? But there is no God, but creation is forever.
Right.
Always has been. Okay. And then of all these flames, like we're going one flame to the other, but now we have two separate flames of this reincarnation without a soul connecting them. What happens when those first flames die without reaching nirvana?
Right.
Where do they go?
Exactly.
Only the last guy gets nirvana? Nobody else gets it?
So there are many unanswered questions.
Right.
And according to a lot of research I did, that they actually asked Buddhists these questions, these hard-hitting questions,
Yeah.
and they'll skirt the answer. And they'll just say, nah, that's not irrelevant, or that's not relevant.
Yeah.
So,
And like, if you're not a good person ever, what's the consequence? If you decide I don't want to follow that, you just stay on the island? You never take a bridge off the island, you're just on the island?
yep, you're
Like
just trying to find enlightenment. That's all. That's
Interesting.
it. And then once you find enlightenment, and according to the dictionary, meaning of nirvana means the extinguishment of, or extinguishing of existence.
Right.
And if you extinguish existence,
Dead.
and there's no sorrow, there's no awareness, there's nothing but nothing.
Right.
Then how is, that's not even
Who would want that?
exactly.
Well, where's their example of somebody that has achieved this?
Yeah.
Exactly.
There is no example.
So where's
You
it at?
wouldn't
Yeah.
know because they didn't come back to tell you that they were
Right.
enlightenment.
But they're constantly being reincarnated, and they're they're striving to achieve total peace. But yet the energy is constantly matter changing. So if it's constantly changing and being reincarnated, how can you achieve it?
Exactly.
Is it Buddhism or Hinduism that when they get reincarnated, they can either go down the totem pole or go up the totem pole? Is that
Hinduism is the one that you can go up or down.
Okay.
But like I said, Buddhism is an offshoot. They have a lot of similarities between the two religions.
Yeah.
But the one thing I didn't put up here, but talking about the meaning of nirvana and trying to achieve that where there's nothing. That's like being nowhere. In fact, let me see if I can find that real quick. I did have it to pull up. Where's that? I'll take this a second.
Well, it looks like if someone wrecks that, no one would care. Because they're not supposed to be happy or sad, and, oh, he made it, oh, okay.
Yeah.
If you're showing the emotion,
Yeah.
it goes back to suffering, and there's no peace.
Yeah.
All right, this one right here, this is talking about the Buddhism says to eliminate a condition, simply to eliminate the cause. By being enlightened and learning not to crave, you can be free. By learning not to become attached to people and things, you can conquer all sorrow. Those who succeed and conquer their passions will enter a place called nirvana. Okay, go back to their word before it. Not to become attached to people and things, conquer all sorrow, etc. It says right here, nirvana is the absence of everything used to describe normal human life, a place where individuality and existence is merged with all else like sparks of an eternal flame. However, I thought this one was very interesting right here. The Bible does describe a place with some similarities to nirvana.
Ooh.
in this place, affections will be gone, love will be gone, and all of the friendships we have grown fond of.
Yeah.
We do not want people to go there, for that place is called hell.
Yeah.
All sensation is not gone though, for there will be a great weeping and gnashing of teeth, as Jesus taught his disciples in Matthew.
Wow.
So, that's another comparison. So,
And that, by that third day, it's gonna be crazy.
Yeah.
Regardless of who you are, it's gonna be crazy.
So,
so,
one last, if I may,
yes,
we got a bunch of millionaires walking around as Buddhists, but they're not supposed to be attached to their possessions.
right, exactly.
Yeah.
Over in Hollywood.
And also a lot of like the Buddhist temples are like paved with gold.
Oh,
They have gold floors and everything.
yeah.
And if serving others was such a big deal, then why don't they use the gold in the floors to help pay for people's food
Relieve the pain of those that are
that are
suffering.
suffering?
Yeah.
So there again, many, many questions, most have been skirted or not answered. So,
People are starving, they ain't got gold.
Okay.
so, but bear in mind, that, you know, the religion is mainly in the Far East. However, with the name of people I gave you, there are several Buddhists in America.
Right.
And there's a Buddhist temple in Raleigh. I think it's Buddhist. It's either Buddhist or Hindu. But it's very, very ornate. Very ornate.
So,
Okay.
but anyway, well, I hope I answered your questions. I'm sure you got questions that I cannot answer, but you have them. I'll try to find an answer for you.